Venezuela's political stage isn't just a local affair, it's a global chess game. Who are the key allies supporting Venezuela, and what does it mean for international politics? The answer lies in a web of alliances that span continents and influence international dynamics. From influential economic partners to strategic military alliances, you're about to explore a side of global affairs you might not have seen before: Venezuela and its impact on the world stage. Venezuela's foreign policy. Venezuela's foreign policy under President Nicolás Maduro has been largely characterized by efforts to consolidate and expand alliances with nations that share similar socialist or anti-imperialist ideologies, continuing the foundation laid by his predecessor, Hugo Chávez. Maduro's government has worked to foster deeper regional integration, primarily through organizations such as ALBA, Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, which was originally conceived to counter U.S. influence in Latin America and the Caribbean. ALBA serves as a platform for countries like Cuba, Nicaragua, and Bolivia to align themselves against what they perceive as neoliberal and imperialist policies promoted by the United States and other Western powers. Maduro has maintained Venezuela's leadership role within this bloc, promoting a shared vision of regional independence, economic cooperation, and social welfare policies. Oil diplomacy has also remained a crucial tool under Maduro, particularly through the Petrocaribe initiative, which allows Venezuela to supply oil at preferential rates to Caribbean and Central American nations. On the global stage, Venezuela's foreign policy under Maduro has taken a decidedly anti-Western stance, focusing on forming strategic partnerships with nations that challenge U.S. dominance, such as Russia, China, Iran, and Turkey. These relationships are based on mutual economic and political interests, including shared opposition to U.S. sanctions and efforts to reduce reliance on Western financial systems. Russia, in particular, has become one of Venezuela's most important allies, offering military, financial, and diplomatic support. China has also played a significant role, providing loans and investments, especially in Venezuela's oil sector, which has been crucial for sustaining the country's economy in the face of sanctions. Key allies of Venezuela. Venezuela's key allies, including Russia, China, Cuba, and Iran, play crucial roles in helping the country navigate its political and economic challenges, especially as it faces international sanctions and criticism. These alliances, rooted in a mix of geopolitical strategy, economic necessity, and shared ideological interests, form the backbone of Venezuela's foreign policy and survival strategy. Number 1. Russia. Russia has become one of Venezuela's most significant allies, particularly in the realms of energy cooperation and military support. As Venezuela's oil industry struggles under sanctions from the U.S. and other Western nations, Russia's investments, primarily through its state-owned company Rosneft, have become vital to maintaining Venezuela's oil exports. This partnership allows Venezuela to circumvent sanctions and continue exporting oil through alternative channels, providing much-needed revenue to the cash-strapped nation. Beyond economic cooperation, Russia provides military support, offering weapons and training to the Venezuelan military. This military alliance helps Venezuela bolster its defense capabilities and resist external pressures, including the threat of regime change. Number 2. China. China, Venezuela's largest creditor, has played an equally critical role in supporting the country's economy. Over the years, China has extended billions of dollars in loans to Venezuela, often in exchange for long-term oil agreements. These loans have helped keep the Venezuelan economy afloat amidst hyperinflation, recession, and a collapse in oil production. China's investments in Venezuela's infrastructure and energy sectors further cement the economic ties between the two nations. By securing a steady supply of oil from Venezuela, China not only helps the country weather its economic crisis, but also enhances its own energy security. Additionally, China's diplomatic support, particularly its opposition to U.S.-led sanctions, aligns with its broader foreign policy of promoting non-interference in the domestic affairs of other nations. Number 3. Cuba. Cuba has been one of Venezuela's closest allies for decades, sharing deep ideological and strategic bonds. This relationship, which began during Hugo Chávez's presidency, is based on a mutual commitment to socialist ideals. Venezuela provides Cuba with heavily subsidized oil, which has been crucial for Cuba's economic survival, particularly after the collapse of the Soviet Union. In exchange, Cuba supplies Venezuela with professional services, especially in the healthcare sector. Thousands of Cuban doctors and medical personnel work in Venezuela, helping to mitigate the country's healthcare crisis. This arrangement not only strengthens the alliance, but also helps maintain political and social cohesion in Venezuela, where access to basic services is becoming increasingly strained. The two nations also collaborate politically, often supporting each other in regional and international forums against U.S. policies in Latin America. Number 4. Iran. Iran has emerged as a newer but important ally for Venezuela, especially as both countries find themselves increasingly isolated due to U.S. sanctions. Economic cooperation between the two nations has intensified in recent years, with Iran supplying Venezuela with fuel, food, and technology to help it cope with shortages. In return, Venezuela has sent oil shipments to Iran, creating a mutually beneficial relationship that helps both countries evade Western sanctions. Politically, Venezuela and Iran share a common narrative of resistance against Western imperialism, particularly against the U.S. Both countries use their partnership to challenge Western dominance in global affairs, often coordinating their efforts in international organizations like the United Nations. Iran's growing presence in Latin America, facilitated by its alliance with Venezuela, also serves its strategic interests by expanding its geopolitical influence far beyond the Middle East. These key alliances offer Venezuela critical economic, political, and military support, enabling the country to resist external pressures and maintain some degree of stability. Through its relationships with Russia, China, Cuba, and Iran, Venezuela has managed to secure the resources and backing it needs to survive, despite severe economic challenges and international isolation. Impact of these alliances. Venezuela's alliances with Russia, China, Cuba, and Iran have complex and profound impacts on its geopolitical positioning, economic stability, and diplomatic relations. Geopolitically, these alliances represent a direct challenge to U.S. influence in Latin America and beyond. Historically, the United States has been a dominant force in the region, shaping its political and economic landscape. Venezuela's strategic partnerships with Russia and China, both major global powers with significant geopolitical clout, undermine this dominance. Economically, Venezuela's alliances provide essential support that is critical to its survival amid severe sanctions and a deep economic crisis. China has been a key economic partner, offering substantial loans and investments that help Venezuela mitigate the economic impact of Western sanctions. These investments are vital for maintaining Venezuela's oil industry, which is a cornerstone of its economy. Russia's support also plays a significant role, providing both financial aid and military equipment that helps Venezuela maintain its oil production and export capabilities. This economic backing not only helps Venezuela manage its crisis, but also enables it to diversify its economic partnerships beyond Western markets. However, these alliances come with a downside, contributing to Venezuela's growing diplomatic isolation. While the support from Russia, China, Cuba, and Iran provides much-needed economic and political lifelines, it also distances Venezuela from Western democracies and international organizations that uphold democratic values and international norms. The alignment with these non-Western powers fosters an increasingly insular international stance as Venezuela becomes more aligned with regimes and ideologies that are often at odds with those of Western nations. Criticism and controversies regarding alliances. Critics contend that Venezuela's strategic alliances with authoritarian regimes such as Russia, China, and Iran significantly undermine human rights and democratic values. These partnerships are viewed as problematic because they may offer political, economic, and military support to a government that is already widely criticized for its record on human rights and democratic governance. By aligning with these authoritarian states, Venezuela is perceived as endorsing or legitimizing practices that are contrary to democratic principles, including political repression, censorship, and the suppression of dissent. The international response, particularly from Western countries and organizations, has been one of deep concern. Western nations view Venezuela's alliances with authoritarian regimes as exacerbating the country's existing issues with democracy and human rights. These concerns are rooted in a broader apprehension that Venezuela's foreign policy choices are part of a larger trend of increasing authoritarian influence on the global stage. For example, the support from Russia and China is seen not just as a bilateral relationship, but as part of a broader geopolitical struggle for influence that challenges Western strategic interests. This dynamic creates a complex web of geopolitical tension, where Venezuela's foreign policy decisions are intertwined with global power struggles, impacting international relations and raising alarms about the further erosion of democratic values and human rights protections worldwide. If you found this video insightful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more in-depth analyses of global affairs. Let us know in the comments what you think about Venezuela's alliances and how they might impact the international landscape. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.